cabinet that I got on Facebook Marketplace. It was free, so the only thing it cost me was the delivery. Now, is it stylish? No, but it's the perfect size for this spot, and most importantly, it's fulfilling a purpose that I have, which is
toy storage.
I really wanted to get something that worked really well for toy storage, because I have noticed that Alfie really likes to stand and like look at all of the things that are in there. So this works really, really well, but it's not attractive. So I wanted to change it. I have a few visions of things that I could do to it, but I'm not quite feeling as ambitious at the moment. So while I sort of refine in my head the ideas of what I actually want to do with this to make it like fabulous, in the short term, I wanted to do a more simple project on it just to like take away that orange wood color. So the obvious thing that's popped into my head is like a restoration hardware type of look, because restoration hardware, sideboards, cabinets, things like this do often have this similar profile of just really like boxy and simple lines. It's not ornate at all. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. The other thing I wanna do is change the handles, and there's a reason for this. When the handles are on the side of the doors, because there's only 3 doors, it's always unequal. So there's a pair here and then one odd one there. I don't really like that look. I purchased some handles, I'll link to them below, that go across the top. And so instead of having this unevenness, they'll at least all have handles at the same spot. I don't know how functional it will be to have the handle in the middle rather than the edge. I've chosen handles that are fairly long, hopefully so that that's not a problem.
So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But in the meantime, I have returned from the hardware store.
So here's what I've got. One, I have purchased this furniture varnish in the color black. The reason for this is I'm going to test painting this just directly over the existing stain. Why am I doing that? Because I don't want to move this outside. I can't be bothered. And plus, it says quick drying. So my thought process was, if I can put black over this existing stain, then maybe it will just tint this in a color. Maybe it will be interesting. Who knows? Option 2 is some Faro and Ball paint. Now, yes, Faro and Ball is expensive, but I seem to just have all this luck finding it on sale. This was massively discounted and it's in the color black. And I thought, well, I'm always gonna use black paint anyway, so might as well get it because it's the price of getting just any other paint. But the test that I'm gonna do with this is to water it down. I've seen that you can water down paint and then it still allows the wood grain to show through, because I don't want this to be a piece of painted furniture, like a solid painted color. I do want to see the wood grain a little bit. I just don't want to see this orange color. So I'm going to do 4 tests right now. I'm going to sand a section on the side, and I am going to try both of these on the sanded section and then both of these on just straight onto this. And depending on which one I like is what we can go with. Hopefully one of them looks good. Otherwise I'll have to go back to the shops to buy something else. I've just realized I've already made a mistake. I've done this in this spot. It's obviously, it's the side of it, but it's not really that hidden. I have done it just in the middle. But I'm hoping that I don't have to sand this because I just prefer not to. But now I'm realizing I've committed to at least this part being sanded off. So whatever effect goes on here, it's gonna look different in this sanded spot, no matter what I do. So I should have done it on the inside, because the inside of the door doesn't really matter and it is the same. But yeah, stuff up number 1 has already taken place.
So I'm gonna go ahead with testing anyway. And so this is the stain that I'm trying first. And that went on a lot darker than I thought it would. That is basically black paint. I'm quite surprised by that. So we definitely need to test out the watered down black paint. Maybe that will look better. That just looks grey. Maybe that was on sale because it wasn't mixed properly. That's just not going on very well either. Okay, so what I think I need to do is try a thinner layer of the stain. Okay, so this is definitely looking the best. I do like that the warmth of the orange wood is coming through. It's making it look like an interesting color rather than just like plain paint or a boring stain. Do you know what? I can't be bothered to go back to the shops. We're gonna go ahead with this. So starting to paint it was my second fail because I forgot to take the handles off. So I had to stop halfway through and do that, and then quickly get back to painting before it dried, because remember I bought the quick dry one because I wanted to make sure that it was all brushed in and it would dry evenly. It was especially important to me to get the front right because that's the bit that you really look at the most, and so I probably should have started on the sides because that's more forgiving and it's not looked at as much, but hey ho, that's what I did. And if I was a professional, I would have taken the door fronts off and all of that, but that's not what this project is about. This project is about being easy. So I don't have to sand, I don't have to remove a whole lot of things, I don't have to move the whole cabinet anywhere. This is just a real in position, easy job. So once I had finished with the first coat, I stepped back and I wasn't loving it. I was really unsure, but I just, trust the process. But also at the same time, what process? I'm making this up as I go. There isn't any process, but whatever. Just like, you're this far gone. There's no turning back. So you just have no choice but to accept this reality. And then of course what I needed to do was the wood filler. I'm doing this all back to front. This is just absolutely, stuff ups galore. I forgot to put the wood filler in, so I was doing it now, which is not ideal. But once again, we're this far gone. Just keep it moving. So it's dried. As it's dried, it has started to look a little bit better, but I'm still unsure. When I look at it from far away, I think, actually this looks quite good. But then the more I look at it, the more I think it kind of just looks like an orange cabinet that I put some watery stuff on top of. It doesn't really look like an intentional thing that someone would actually choose. So I think I have to do a darker coat. The risk with doing a darker coat is that I could go too dark, I could stuff it up, I could regret it, but I suppose I could just sand it. I think I've got to do it. So I'm going to do another really thin coat because I know that I can go too dark with it. I learned that the hard way. And I also have sanded here, so I'll just do this bit as well at the same time. So I sanded down the areas with the wood filler before adding another really thin coat, really gently over the whole thing, just trying to make sure that it didn't look bad.
That's sure something I could use.
So interestingly, as I do this, I'm realizing that you definitely want to do like really thin coats and actually going over it like lots of times, just like really going with the wood grain and painting it in. And as I do this second coat, I'm starting to think that maybe, as it dries down, maybe I'll do a third coat, I don't know. But what I'm realizing is I really like staining wood. Like, it's more satisfying, I think, than paint. It's more interesting than paint. And yeah, you can just sort of build it up more gradually than paint. So who knows? Maybe I'll do some other wood staining projects in the future. So what I'm finding works quite well is to really lightly paint it with the grain, paint it in, and then when it's sort of like half dry, maybe like 5 minutes later, coming back and kind of doing it a little bit more. It kind of seems to respond well to that. So when you see these little lines, you don't want them. You want to keep painting and keep blending it in until any little sign of the stain has gone. Because if you have any little bits like that, say, that will look awful when it dries. So you just got to keep doing that. And that's actually the part that I'm quite enjoying. It's quite therapeutic. So here's another bit. Bad. Now. Good. I'm just got to keep going.
I could sit around and wait all day. You lay easy on my mind.
So testing it out with the handles on there, I think it's starting to look good. But I think I need to trust my instincts and just do one more coat. Only a light little coat, and I do need to go in and do some of the edges and stuff anyway. Maybe I'll do it with a smaller paintbrush and just go really careful. But I think just one more coat is gonna make it look even, because you can see in this spot, this bit looks nice and dark and rich, and it still has a little bit of the life of the orange coming through, which I like. I just don't like the full-on orange. But over here, it's just a little bit too light. I'd be looking to fill in those lighter places with just a little bit more stain. Like right now in this light, it looks okay, but when I was looking at it this morning with the morning light coming in, any little bits of orange really show up in that light. And so I think it just proves to me that I do need to do just one more really light touch additional thing, just to make the color a little bit more consistent, because I was a little bit inconsistent here. And I think the reason why it's inconsistent was just me figuring out my technique, because the top looks really good because I did that last and I was just really into it. And also I think on the top you can do big, long strokes, and that just helps it really blend in together as well. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I've done the legs. Done a pretty shabby job of the legs, but I'm gonna touch them up. But as I've looked at them, I'm actually so glad I've done it this way and I didn't sand it, because this is it's a peculiar piece of furniture. Some parts are definitely solid wood, some parts are definitely veneer, and then there is a third thing in the mix, which is this, it's not veneer, it's like a plastic, like a fake wood. That is what's on the inside of the drawers, but not the cabinets. And it's also what's on the reverse side of the legs. Luckily, the fake wood is only in places that you can't really see, so that's better. But it does also prove to me that there's no point doing the inside. I think I'm just gonna leave it. What's the point of doing half of the inside and doing all that work and taking all the toys out? I don't wanna take the toys out if I don't have to. So I'm feeling glad about the decisions that I've made so far, so I'm going to keep trusting my instincts and just do one more coat.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird